Hey, welcome everyone to my Lupus living room. We are located here in Brecksville, Ohio, and we're coming to you. It's a heat wave out there. I think it's 30 degrees
It
right
is. I think
now.
so. Yeah. First
And
first day above
looking
30 in
at
a
some
while.
sun and trying to pretend that I'm enjoying the weather here. Okay. I'm sitting here with Alex, my wingman, holds me up these days. How we doing, Alex?
Oh, we're warm, like you mentioned. It's not as cold, not as snowy, so got a little bit of reprieve. So
Wow, it's
I'm
been
sure there'll
awful.
be I'm sure there'll be another blast before it's all said and done. But
And I can tell you, living with lupus, and I know my fellow Lupians out there, this weather plays havoc on how we feel. I seldom do I not leave my house without rings, and I don't have rings on my fingers because my hands are
we had to take
swelling
them
and my
off you early
taking
yesterday
them off.
before you couldn't get them
The
off.
weather just really does play havoc for many of us. So wear those gloves. Try to take care of you during these chilling times. How's
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
So we're working on we're rolling out our year, our calendar year. Kind
Hmm.
of, we look at October 1st to be our calendar year
Yeah.
to get things going, and we got our calendar up here on the board looking at it. And I wish this was easy stuff, but it's somewhat of a challenge, mostly because people never call us back. Trying to
Yeah.
get things done in the world today has become more challenging than ever.
Hmm.
But Alex has got some good dates. He's happy to get that board filled up, and
Yeah.
staff is really ready to jump in. So where do we want to start? What do we
Well, why
Let's
don't we
start
start
somewhere.
with last year? Since it's the first
Oh,
one of the year, we'll start with how the year went.
yeah. So last year, look, programming, we always do a robust job in programming. Okay. And I hope that everyone listening enjoys all that we do for you, especially those impacted by lupus. And looking back, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I certainly can get them. We look and we see all the calls that we made to anyone in our database that has lupus, that we are privy to that you have lupus. Our patient navigators were all of you guys calling in, checking
Hmm.
in, doing wellness calls, see if you're okay, to see if there's any needs. I think that's the highlight of what we did last year,
Hmm. Yeah, I
that
think
our
we had.
navigators rose to help us call thousands of people, and that we were able to help so many people in areas that barriers to care, like getting some food, getting some rides to the doctors, mental health, help with prescriptions, all those things that need to be done. And we were a great resource, and thankfully to those funds came from many different grant projects.
Yep. Yeah, I think we had
Yeah.
over 10,000 patient interactions last year.
Wow. Wow.
Is what Rita came up with. I
So,
guess.
we think there's about 60,000 Lupians in the state of Ohio. We don't have a real good count on it, but that's the number we've been using for the past several years. And I think that was our best moments for the year.
Yeah.
But wrapping up the year, honestly, Alex said I'm not allowed to be depressing, but I don't, most of you who know me know that I suffer from depression, and that Prozac is my go-to thing. Um, but at the end of the light here, really, let's talk about um, some things that gave us hiccups. And one of the things was revenue streams that came in
Hmm.
from pharmaceutical companies that were so gracious to us during COVID,
Hmm.
and then they pull back without warning. So we have a couple of our largest donors that pull back without any warning,
Hmm.
which is going to cause some hiccups along the road. So and that and our walks just haven't performed. And we love seeing you at the walks, especially Columbus. You
Hmm.
guys are back in the game. Cleveland, it
Hmm.
was a beautiful day in Cleveland. It was so great to see so many of you. But the walks, that is our largest signature event. We just didn't pull in what we needed. So we're going to have a financial crunch.
Hmm.
Okay. Fortunately, Alex is still here. I'm still here. And Chris are still here. But it does present problems for the future. So I'm scrambling to try to find some new board members that aren't exhausted and that can rise and help us. So if you
Hmm.
know anybody that is, they say you want something done, give it to a really busy person. So I'm looking for some board members that are excited to make real change.
Mhm.
So if you know anybody, send them our way. Okay.
Yep.
And let's talk. You want to talk about the walk?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So, without further ado, we did make some changes this year, and part of that is due to some of the budget constraints that Suzanne kind of alluded to, but we are shifting where our walks fall in our calendar year. So they are going to be coming up rather quickly than what people are accustomed to. We've already emailed past participants. So by the time you guys are listening to this, you probably already have an email in your inbox from us. But also, what happened in May, well, not in May, recently, in the Ohio legislature, they just passed Ohio SB 234, which formally declared May as Lupus Awareness Month in the state. So that's very exciting.
Yay.
We accompanied Suzanne down about 2 months ago now to Columbus to give testimony on that bill, and we were very, very happy to see it passed and then ultimately signed by Governor DeWine a couple weeks ago, actually. So early 2025, it was fully enacted into law. It is now Lupus Awareness Month in Ohio in May. So because of that, we are moving our Cleveland Walk to May. So
Right.
moving it up from September to May, it is going to be Saturday, May 3rd, 2025, and it is going to be back in the Flats, East Bank. It's a wonderful venue. Lauren and her team down there, super, super easy to work with, very accommodating. And we've had a great experience down there the last 2 years, and especially last year with the stage and everything being done now. We just think it makes a whole lot of sense. So we know that there are some issues with the routes.
We heard
We've heard the last 2 years. We've done the best we can the last 2 years. Chris and I are actually going to go down there in a couple days since we got this nice weather warm up. We didn't want to scare Chris away from the organization, making him go down to the river when it's 20 below zero. So we waited till it warmed up. We are going to go down there. So if there is a hill in this year's walk, you could personally come up to Chris and I on walk day and air your grievances, because that is our biggest job as of now. A lot of our vendors and entertainment and stuff, we kind of already have a good idea on what we're going to do. So that's really the next biggest challenge for that walk, is figuring out an easier walk route for you guys. So we are listening. We do read those evaluations we send out post event, and we do take those into consideration, and we don't take your concerns lightly. So Cleveland, Walk to End Lupus Now, 2025, May 3rd, down in the Flats.
Is the site up? Is the site up?
The site is live.
Okay. If you have a problem with the site, give us a call. Chris or Alex, McKenna, they're happy to walk you through it. Sometimes these online sites can be a little challenging, and no worries. Give us a call. We'll walk you through it. God knows I have challenges with most of them these days.
Yeah, and sometimes it has to do with pages that we can't necessarily see until you guys sign up. So usually within a week of registration opening, we have a pretty good idea of anything like issue-wise. So there's a couple pages that you can see when you log in and you're going around on your page, or it could be your browser or your computer at home. So we can try to walk you through those. Cleveland, May 3rd, Flats. Next, Columbus. We are going to be back at COSI. Again, wonderful venue, super easy to work with, beautiful scenery down there.
Right.
So that one's going to be Saturday, June 28th. So the last Saturday of June is going to be Columbus. That registration page also live currently, so you can register. And again, anybody that's participated the last couple of years in Columbus at those walks, you should have already gotten an email in your inbox. So same deal. Both sites you can access lupusgreaterohio.org/walk, and you could choose either Cleveland or Columbus from there. So those are the two big announcements. We finally have firm dates for those, so we're bumping them up early. But we know that you guys are going to rally, and show up and show out, as they say.
Yeah, and the other thing too is those websites allow for you to post a picture of yourself on there with your story. Nothing has more power than your story. And really the reason the site works, but I don't think a lot of our Lupians here in Ohio understand the processes. It is peer-to-peer fundraising. So it's for you to send to your family and your friends telling them, hey, this is my story. Okay. And can you help? So you want to put your picture in there, you want to put your story in there, and you want to
Yeah,
use it.
customize it.
You want to customize it, and people only give to people who ask. So why do we walk? We walk for a couple of reasons. One certainly is awareness. All right. Two is to raise dollars for much needed programs because really no one's giving to lupus. I got to tell you. And if our family and friends aren't going to give, no one else is going to give. The numbers are very small. And why? Because we have done a really great job creating awareness for lupus,
Mhm,
but we still haven't gotten people to understand what it is.
mhm.
So in
Or how
order
it impacts
or how
people.
it impacts people, and most of us look normal. So if I was a puppy laying in the mud, it'd be a different impact. If I was walked around with cast on my heads or tubes coming out, it would have a different impact. But
Mhm,
most of us try to have a normal life. So it's tough to raise money for lupus, but people give to people who ask. So if you use the site right, um, the results will be better for all of us.
mhm. As Aletha, our community outreach coordinator, says, closed mouths don't get fed.
Wow, I missed that one.
Yeah, that's her
Wow, leave
favorite
that
thing.
to Aletha,
Yeah,
huh?
closed mouths don't
Hey,
get fed.
listen, and if any of you want to come up and share your story with us here at the office or from a distance, we can arrange that.
Hmm.
I'd love to have you join us in our lupus living room. We've kind of pulled back on a couple sessions. One because it's been chilling here and no one wants to come out
Hmm.
anyway. But from a distance, we can arrange this
Yep.
as well. So long as you have a computer with a camera and a speaker, we can figure it all out.
Yep.
Love to have you join us.
And with that in mind, as far as sharing your story and stuff, this year you'll see a series of emails coming through after you register for the walks. One of those emails is going to contain a link to a Google form, which you will be able to submit either a video, or if you just want simple text or a picture of you or whoever you're walking for and the reason that you participate in the walks to end lupus. And you can actually be a part of the marketing for the walks this year. So we're trying to do it a little bit more interactive. So it make it easier for people to share the reasons why they walk. Obviously having people throughout the entire state in person or getting them to be able to block out time out of their busy days to come on and jump on with us for a half hour to an hour isn't possible. So we're trying to make it easier for people to share, why they're involved with the organization, why they walk, who they walk for, whatever their story is. So be looking for those emails as well.
Okay, what else we got? We got
We have a
stuff.
lot. We have a lot before the walks. We have a couple things coming up even before the walks. So our next educational program, it's going to be virtual, and it is going to be
Columbus.
with Columbus, Ohio State Wexner. But like I said, it is going to be virtual, so there's not going to be any physical in person event. It's going to be all online, and that is going to be Saturday, March 22nd. Sorry. Thank you, Chris. Saturday, March 22nd, and that one's going to start at 10 a.m. So you guys will be seeing the marketing and registration page for that shortly, probably within the next week or two. And that's going to be called Rise and Thrive.
Yeah, so uh, we need a lot of things to get us going, okay? And one of them is the latest, most accurate information is about lupus because the world of lupus is changing constantly. Honestly, I have to tell you, I never thought I'd live this long to see such wonderful things that are going on. So it is our job, it's what we do here to provide that information. So yes, you can Google this and you can Google that, but why do that when we're going to bring you Columbus finest, okay?
Mm-hmm.
From our state capital area. These are doctors who are very privy to the latest updates on lupus. So you really should chime in and listen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know that y'all want to do something else, but no one's going to do this for you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have a responsibility yourself to know what's going on out there. And it's going to help. It's going
Yep.
to help. So this is all good stuff.
Yep. Yep. So that is in March. So that'll be the next educational program. Then in April, Saturday, April 12th, is going to be the next installment of our minority retreat.
Right.
So,
So that's still in the mixer.
mhm,
It's in its birthing, baking stage, like I
yeah.
like to say.
So we do have the date. We do not have a location or anything on that. More details to come. Aletha is working very hard on that one. So
It's
that's
going
her
to be
little
more about self
baby
empowerment, what
project.
we can do physically to help ourselves along, and to share with others who have like problems.
Yep, absolutely.
Which we'll talk about support groups for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Let's just for a minute. All right. So, we had a call with all of our leaders last week. I think it was
Mhm.
last week. Okay. And I was excited to see so many of our support group leaders and facilitators and co facilitators and hear from them and got a wish list and some ideas. And so the biggest thing that came out of that for me, one of the biggest things is they don't like the word support group. Okay. So we're working on giving it a facelift. We're working at giving our groups a facelift, and that is to be continued because
Mhm.
it's a work in progress.
Mhm.
But just want you to know there are groups out there, and our groups really are whether you call them support groups or whatever else you want to call them. They're a safe place for you to come and have a dialogue and share like experiences with other Olympians.
Mhm.
Okay, so utilize those. You'll find them on our website
Yep.
and you get emails about them, a monthly
Yep.
email if you're in our
Yep.
email list.
Social posts. So.
So just for the sake, I'm assuming I don't want to assume that everyone here that we have your email or that we know if you're a patient. But if you do get emails from us from different parts of our different pushes, social
Mhm.
media pushes, please make sure we have the right email for you, a phone number, and we need to know in our database who's actually a patient.
Mhm.
So, if you have time, the next time you're online, shoot us
Yeah.
your email and tell us who you are. And we want to make sure that our data is right. Because I'm going to
Yeah.
start deleting some data that I think
Well,
has.
and yeah, and some of that, as we've learned in the last couple of years, some of that is our fault. As far as oversights on what we should have been collecting in certain
Sure.
instances. But yeah, so the calls that Suzanne was referring to at the beginning of the talk here, the 10,000 patient interactions, a lot of that are the wellness calls that the navigators do twice a year. They usually do fall and spring, if I'm not mistaken, late fall, early winter, and spring. Um, and the way that we get that information and not even choose, but the way we figure out what patients to contact or is the patients in our database. So if you're not categorized as a patient in our database, sometimes there's no way of knowing that you are a patient. So if you're not getting calls twice a year, whether you speak to the navigator or not, they'll always leave a message. So if you haven't been getting calls from us, give the office a call. We probably either have an outdated phone number for you, or maybe we accidentally don't have you categorized as a patient in the database at all, depending on how you found
And
us.
that database is 50,000 people
Hmm.
strong. So it's a constant breathing
Yeah.
project. And during COVID, we were in, we were out, we were here, there's this guy, this guy. So, it's a little screwed and we want to clean it up. So if you can help that, that'd be great.
Yep. Yeah, and along the lines of support groups, and just support in general, finding that sense of community, really, and piggybacking off of what you were talking about was, we're not changing what a support group is by any stretch of the imagination. So that's not really what Suzanne was getting at. We're just kind of looking at doing some different things to make them a little bit more engaging. Maybe modernize them a little bit as far as to what people are looking for. But I mean, the pillars remain the same. I mean, we're
It's
not
just the
reinventing the
packaging
wheel.
more
We're,
more inviting.
we've seen a profound, you know, importance in talking to people out at the in-person events and things of what, in person and being with each other and other Lupians, really means to them and how important it is. And some of them don't even realize it until they experience it themselves, and I think our constituents down in the southernmost part of the state, down in Cincinnati, got a little bit sense of that this past fall when we finally were able to get back down there for an educational program, and everybody was super pumped and super stoked. It was probably one of the most enthusiastic educational programs that we've done since I've been here. And I think it's because we hadn't been down there and they hadn't seen each other, a lot of them, and I mean, we had people there that had this one gentleman brought a book
He did.
from that, like he was showing me paperwork, and I'm like, that existed long before my time, sir. So, and I just
Before my
pointed him,
time.
yeah, I pointed him to Suzanne. I'm like,
Before my
yeah,
time.
he was asking all these questions about this. I'm like, you want to talk to this lady
We've
because
come
you've
a
been around
long
for a
way.
long,
We've come a
a
long
long
way
time.
since that little orange book. I'm just
Yeah.
sorry I didn't grab it from him.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, so I mean, it does mean a lot to people, and that's why we've, in the last year to year and a half, we've really been refocused on pushing not only in-person programming in general, but specifically the support groups, because I do think it's the easiest way. We can only do, I mean, if we're huffing and maybe 6 or 7 in-person events a year. I mean, real in-person events. I mean, that takes a lot of work. So the easiest way for people to get involved with their fellow Lupians in our state is a support group. I mean, they're very informal. They're once a month or once every 2 months, or
And it's not only, and if you're doing okay, all the more reason for you to come, because you could be that
mhm.
support arm
Yeah, that
or a
somebody else
buddy for
needs.
someone else that may need to see that, hey, this stuff does go into remission. I can get better,
Hmm.
or things aren't always going to be bad. But sharing your stories with each other, whether they're good or bad, is priceless. Walking in each other's shoes, having common things,
Right.
being empathetic and not criticizing, sharing is caring, and that's really what the groups are about. They're about friendship, a
Yeah.
little education, some friendship, and I can tell you in my life, the people in my support group, they have become an extension of my family.
Hmm.
And no matter what goes on, whether I'm sick, Bill's sick, or someone died, we're all there.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I think you hit on something important too, which I know we've mentioned is, and I've heard it from other people in talking with them, is it's not just important to go when you need it, when you need the support
They're
necessarily.
going to
Like,
hold
yes,
you
that's
up.
important to reach out for help, but it's also important to, the whole sense of our organization. We're a nonprofit, we're a community health organization. It's giving back. And, obviously not everybody has the financial means to donate,
Sure.
or not everybody has the physical or the time needs to volunteer. But if you go to a support group, that is giving back,
Mhm.
even if you don't need the help, because you're there for other people and you're helping the lupus community as a whole, and you're helping your fellow brother or sister,
Yeah.
you
Let's
know?
go back to the walks a minute, okay? Um, I'd like to challenge everyone to bring one. Each one of you's bring one. Each one of you's bring another person or get someone else to join with the team. I'm going to challenge you to do that. You want people to walk with you while you can still walk.
Should we make that a
Okay.
requirement for entrance? Like how
I
they do,
can't
like
make it
bring a can good and
bring
you
a
can get
canned
in,
good.
bring a
I want you
person and you
each one
can
to
walk.
bring one. Okay. Bring someone with you. Okay. You don't have to walk alone. And if you don't have anybody, of course you're going to walk with us. But get someone. Everybody get someone else to sign up, or even them make a team.
Hmm.
All right, let's get the numbers back up. Before COVID, we were over, God, I don't know, 1,200, 1,300 people, and pushing $100,000. This year we were, I don't know,
Yeah,
a
like a
couple
third
hundred,
of that.
a third of that, which, ouch,
Mhm.
Hey, and I know, look, Alex is a young whippersnapper over here, and I know I'm an old hat. All right. And so what I'm confronted with as a leader here is you guys, especially our target audience who are 14 to 44. Believe it or not, that's the average age for lupus, is user being inundated with so much communications. I think you're over communicated between, all these different things, whether it be
Mhm.
Instagram, I don't even know, Twitter,
For me,
TikTok,
honestly, it's emails is the worst thing for me. I
Facebook,
probably get 150 to 200
text
emails a day.
messages. I don't think you're paying attention. It's too much. It's just too
Yeah.
much. Okay, so, and we got some young people working for us now, really young, that I don't even think they know how to really sit and talk to real people. They're so busy using. They're all going to have neck
What are
problems.
you saying? I know
I'm
how to
saying
talk.
that some of them are so down on they're going to have neck problems, and they're not going to be able to have eye contact
Yeah.
for communication. So that's just me, and I'm telling you, that's got to stop. So,
Well, along those lines, moving into our
okay.
next perfect segue, the to keep going on the support train, one of the things that we're going to do, actually, right after we're done recording this, because we finally just got approval and got all the rules
Oh,
situated and stuff,
yeah.
is we're going to start our own Facebook group specifically for patients in Ohio. So it's not necessarily an LFAGOC support or a LFAGOC group, although we will be the administrators and we will be monitoring it. But it's really just for anybody in the state that's connected to lupus. So, we've all seen the prevalence of Facebook groups in being able to foster that initial connection with people digitally. kind of meet them where they're at kind of deal. So if they're already speaking on Facebook to each other in other groups, we thought that it was important, not that we're going to do anything better than any of the other groups, but really important to get an Ohio specific group. And I think it's actually important for a lot of different reasons. One, because it's nice to connect with people over, online and stuff, no matter where they live. But again, fostering that community, I think we have a real chance to be able to make friendships. I know in hearing, with you and Adrian and Kathy and Aletha and everybody that's been a part of the organization for decades, is that, you even mentioned it earlier, the people in your support group became an extension of your family. And I know that you guys all still talk to, everybody.
Talks, cards,
Yeah,
birthdays,
exactly.
weddings.
Exactly. So I think that this is important because it creates that again, at least in some form. It's not going to replace in person, but hopefully it leads to in person. If you meet somebody in this group and you're like, oh wow,
You live
you're just
down the
yeah,
street.
exactly, or you're just a town over, let's go get coffee or whatever. And maybe you don't. I mean, we do the best we can, but we don't have a support group in every community. That's necessarily right down the street from people. We work hard and we're adding groups, as best we can. But maybe for the meantime, you meet a couple people in this group and you guys meet up once a month to, just check in with each other, or you exchange phone numbers or whatever you want to do. So that's really what this group's going to be about. We'll be sharing information, on our programs, of course, and then any, research news or anything. But we're really excited about it. We think it's just a different way for people to engage. If you don't want us to email you, fine. That's completely fine. If you don't want us to call you, okay. We just want to give everybody an option to connect in the way that they kind of prefer, more or less.
So I did something fun the other day during the snowstorm. I did a mapping of our database, and I was blown away. So what mapping means is it took everybody in our database and it pinned them on a map.
Yeah.
Okay, and we are the Ohio chapter. We started off as the Cleveland chapter, then we moved on to Cincinnati, jumped over Columbus, then we were Akron, and then we were in Findlay, and then we were Columbus, and then not most of them, quite a few people moved to Florida. Imagine that, the snowbirds. Okay, but we're looking at the pinning. It's like, wow, we're no longer just in Cleveland. We're everywhere, and there's parts of Ohio. I'm apologizing. I never heard of some of these cities before.
No.
For us people in major metropolitan areas, I hate to say I didn't forget about you. It's just I've never heard of your cities, and there are fellow Lupians down there that you guys could have a relationship with because you're so far out.
Yeah, I'm born and raised Northeast Ohio, of course, but I have family in Columbus that I've had there my whole life, and I'm basically outside of Dayton, Cincinnati, and Athens. If you get me past, if you get me past Columbus, I'm outside of those three cities. I'm basically useless. Rita just actually called this patient yesterday, who called the office, and then I kind of passed him off to Rita. But he lived in South Point, and I was like, I thought it was one way, and Rita came in this morning and showed me on the map. She was like, "You were completely wrong." And he basically lives in Kentucky. Just
we get a lot of Kentucky people, a lot of Indiana, and a lot of Michigan folks.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that you're in our database. You got in there somehow. I didn't put you in there. Okay, so you came through a program, a donation, something.
Yep.
All right, so you're in there. We want to take care of whatever your needs are, and if you're doing great with lupus, I'm really thrilled. I'm really thrilled because living with lupus today is better than it was yesterday. We are making good strides. We still got to get the folks to know what it is in order for us to be more successful at what we do. I am a little concerned about, can I use the word polarized America right now?
Yeah.
Is that a good word?
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned, and this isn't about politics. This is really about concerns. I'm kind of afraid for tomorrow, what it might bring. And I know that's causing a lot of anxiety for people. And honestly, I don't have an answer for you. Just, I would say we got to calm down. And I hate to say, let's see where we go with this, but there's a lot of changes being made really quick, very quickly.
Yep.
And the intentions may be good, but I'm afraid of the massive outcomes may have serious impact on many of our constituents.
Mhm.
Okay. So, I know that a lot of funding is being cut. I know that a lot of jobs are being lost. I know that a lot of people have issues that are going to impact their monies in their households, and
Mhm.
there might be more needs, more medicine needs, more needs, and I'm hoping that overall we're going to be able to sustain and rise. All right, so be careful what you read. Let's not be too opinionated
Mhm.
on either side. Gather as much information as you can before you respond,
Mhm.
and just breathe.
Yeah, I
Because
think
the anxiety. I had to stop watching TV actually.
I for a lot of people, I think that is one of the easiest, quickest way to kind of avoid it is just turn off.
Yeah,
Turn. I mean, as best you can. Now, don't get me wrong. On both sides, there are certain things that you can't nor should you ignore. If
yeah.
those issues are important to you. I'm not saying throw your values and morals or whatever your beliefs are out the
No, no,
window.
I'm not taking a
But
side. I'm just
the
saying.
24-hour news cycle does have some disadvantages, and one of the things is we speak in headlines now, or we make decisions off of a headline that was meant for you to click on it. It's not really necessarily completely true. It doesn't tell the whole truth, or maybe it's a half-baked idea
It's
that
just
somebody.
attention grabber.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
I think turning off to some degree can help with that. And really, the other thing is, I think it presents a crazy opportunity for things like we're talking about, like with support groups and stuff. Is like just start focusing on not necessarily you, yourself, and I, because that's, but more so like your immediate. Focus. Let's focus on each other.
wow.
Like no matter what you believe, we can sit across the table from each other and go, what do we need to do? How do we make this better for each other?
Yeah,
Let's not focus necessarily on the giant. It's just like, hey,
yeah, it's too
Betsy
scary.
down the street, I know
So,
struggling. Maybe I can
so we
help her
don't
out
have
this week.
control over a lot of things that are going on, and I think that that's a problem with lupus. I know in my journey was is that I have no control, and I live with uncertainty because one minute you have lupus and you're sitting here and you're normal, but by the time I go home tonight, maybe I can't walk or get in bed or
Mhm.
clothe myself or unclothe myself. So it's like, you have to deal with that. And then whatever's going on in the world, it's so much uncertainty that's compounding my anxiety.
Yeah.
And really it was making me sick. So, Alex is so right. Don't just read the headlines. If you're interested in the topic, dig a little deeper and look at all sides of this, and let's not panic.
Hmm.
And you have a voice. You're still a voter. Hopefully you're still a voter. You have a voice. So we are having something big come up in Ohio.
Hmm.
uh, and I do have anxiety over this, and that is, for last couple of years, with all of your help, we were able to get a line item in our state budget, and it has allowed us to rise and do
Hmm.
wonderful programs here in the state of Ohio. We're the only state, I believe, that has its own line item for lupus. I understand, Governor DeWine has been very good to us. It has been in the budget for the last couple of years.
Hmm.
I understand that it's in the presented budget right now, but it hasn't been signed by the governor yet. And then it has to go through committees.
Yeah. So
So I'm a little nervous with that because of all the cuts going on.
hmm
So let's put our prayer hats on, and we may come to you to push those advocacy buttons because that would have a major impact on us.
Yeah. So timeline for Ohioans here is we're recording this on January 28th. So I believe February 3rd. So the preliminary budget for the Ohio Department of Health and Health and Human Services in the state has been released. And that is what Suzanne is saying that we are in again, the preliminary budget. Now February 3rd, I believe, is when the governor releases his preliminary budget. So basically, the Ohio Department of Health has presented their budget. We're in there. Then, changes, as did all the other departments, by the way, in the state. So then the governor goes in, kind of makes changes if they see any changes that they would like to make. And then, so February 3rd, so next week, he'll present his proposed budget. Then it goes to the House of Representatives in Ohio. They do their thing. Then it goes to the Senate in Ohio. They do their thing. Then they both do their thing back and forth with each other.
Walk on eggshells
And then,
here.
so June 30th is the legal requirement in our state for the next 2-year budget cycle, 2-year budget to be signed. So and it probably will be June 30th before we, if anything, we this day and age, politically speaking, we tend to not have any answer
But that's
until the
going to
very
be in a
last
blink.
second.
It's going to be in a
Yeah.
blink.
Yeah. So, as Suzanne mentioned, we'll be going back to Columbus. I'm sure I'll be driving again.
We are sending 2 people to the Capitol.
Yep. We have national advocacy.
Because again, that's NIH, CDC, DOD.
Yeah, that's the big,
big. That's where hopefully we're going to find the causes and the cure.
Yeah.
So again, we're all walking on eggshells here. So, ouch. But let's try to eliminate some of the anxiety.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that's about everything we have for now. Let's wrap on a little bit more positive note. So,
positive note is Medicare. For those who are on Medicare,
you were real excited about this today.
Because I'm on Medicare. So Medicare has some new laws and rules, and it's the one especially that I'm excited about is medication. So, this is no secret. Everybody knows I'm popping 27 good pills a day. They're all prescribed, and my family as well. And the cost is huge for us, in the thousands, tens of thousands. Okay. But what came this year, when the pharmaceutical company called, said, time to renew your prescriptions, I was going to cry. But instead they said, nope, there's a ceiling of $2,000. You can spend it the first month, or you can spread it out across 12 months. So I am praising the Lord all day long.
Mm-hmm.
That is great news for those of us that are on Medicare.
Yep, that is excellent news.
Excellent news. That's good stuff.
And why don't we pick some Suzanne wisdom out of that brain? So if you could, so let's do this just quick because this wasn't planned. But so when were you diagnosed with lupus? What age?
I was diagnosed when I was 27.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and we won't say how old you are today, but if 27,
I think I'm 73.
Okay, well, you said it. So if 73-year-old Suzanne could tell 27-year-old Suzanne something, what would it be?
Oh, each morning I wake up, I'm surprised. I'm surprised because when I was 27, they told me I was going to die and it would be soon, and to go home and get my affairs in order. Okay, I'm the only person I know who's had my funeral planned since I've been 27. Okay, but each day when I wake up, and I know I'm going to be confronted with challenges and hiccups, and I expect them. Okay, but I am so grateful when I open my eyes and I see the sun shining. The first thing is I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I rose to another day and looking forward to whatever opportunities come my way, and know that I'm not alone in the journey. Okay. So you're not alone in your journey. Mm-hmm. Okay. As always, you always hear me say there in the word lupus, there isn't an I, but there's an us. Okay. So together we can do this. But be grateful. You were given a day today. A lot of people weren't. We've had several deaths since January, come through the office here, young and old. All right. You're here today. So make a difference. Use it wisely. Use it wisely. Okay. God bless. Thank you for joining me in my lupus living room.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Okie dokie. Remember, there is no I in lupus, but there is an us. Until next time, this has been my lupus living room with the Lupus Foundation of America's Great Ohio Chapter. For more information and resources to help you in your lupus journey, please visit lupusgreatohio.org or call 1-888-NO-LUPUS. The funding for my Lupus Living Room is an earmark from the state of Ohio and managed by the Ohio Department of Health. Your physician is the best person to help you in the treatment of lupus. The information you learn here today can be discussed with your doctor, as your physician knows your medical history best. Please do not make any medical changes without consulting your physician first. As with any treatment, stay educated and get information from trusted sources.